All right, folks, let's get into some rumors from around the NFL, some good ones and some head-scratching ones as well. We will start down in Tampa Bay, where the report is that there is, quote, no chance that Doug Martin returns to the Bucs. Harris are giving this one 3 stars because I think there is a chance that he does come back, but it's highly unlikely. So the rumor itself, pretty likely.
There is a very, very, very small chance that he comes back. But I'll put it this way, and this is kind of something that I argue with him. Who would you rather have, Doug Martin or Isaiah Crowell?
Ooh. They were both not good this year.
That's my point right there.
Yeah.
If you have to discuss whether or not you would want, if it's that difficult of a decision to make, that shows you how far Doug Martin has fallen. But
I like Crowell a lot entering this year.
But look what happened. I think that Doug Martin leaving the Bucs, it needs to happen. I think both of them need a change of scenery. I think the Bucs need a new running back. Darius Geis would actually be really fun on that team, as would a lot of other different guys. I think it's time for him to go. In terms of no chance he comes back, I think 3 heads is the way to go.
All right, perhaps you're wondering what the heads mean. Here is our explainer here for NFL Rumors Roundup. If you see no Goodell heads, means it's fake news, the report rumor totally inaccurate. If you see 1 Goodell head, means there's a small shred of truth. It could be true, but it's probably not. It's don't buy it. 2 Goodell heads means it's firmly in the rumor category. People are talking, but it could go either way.
Yep.
3 Goodell heads means that it's more probable than not. It's pretty likely, but there is some room for things to change.
No comment.
Yeah, there you go. 4 Goodell heads means it is fact news, not fake news. It is 100% going to happen. It's going to happen.
Fact.
Let's get into some more rumors then. Mike Munchak, he is out of the Cardinals head coaching search.
Ooh, Tom, you're getting closer and closer to having run around the WeWork offices naked. The Jim Schwartz train is coming to Arizona. I will love this hire, by the way. I think Mike Munchak deserves another chance. I think that he's a guy that you don't want on a developing roster, but if the roster already has good enough players, I think that's where he can come in and stabilize. When he was with the Tennessee Titans, him trying to grow that franchise, it never worked out. That's not the kind of coach he is, but I think if the Arizona Cardinals get a good quarterback along with a good head coach, they could end up being a wild card team next year if certain things fall their way. But I'm kind of happy he's not saying. I'm kind of happy he's saying no. I think it might not be the best place for him, but it's Jim Schwartz time, I'm telling you.
All right, well, 3 coaches already have second interviews scheduled with the Cardinals. John DeFilippo, Brian Flores of the Patriots. I'm curious what you think of him, Harrison.
Yeah.
Second, Keith Armstrong as well. Steve Wilkes has been a candidate for almost every job, in part to fulfill the Rooney Rule.
So, not claiming to be the Patriots insider here, but I will say this. Bill Belichick loves Brian Flores.
Okay.
He's been really mentoring him to become the defensive coordinator once Matt Patricia left. This has been a pretty solely obvious thing inside of New England and outside. I will say this. If Brian Flores does get signed by the Cardinals, New England would become the first NFL team to lose 3 assistant coaches to head coaching jobs in the same offseason, which is just a wild statistic. I think it'd be crazy to go from linebackers coach to NFL head coach in 1 year, but do you know what this might be? This might be like the Matt Rule thing that we saw where he's not going to get a head coaching job this year, but this is how you
networking.
Exactly. This is how you get your name in the circles. This is how you get your name mentioned. Oh, he's gotten head coaching interviews before. Oh, people are looking at him.
Yep.
That's a good job by his age in getting him some interviews.
Right, so keep those votes flowing, folks, as now we get to one of the stranger rumors I think we've ever had on NFL Daily before, that Tom Cable's wife is editing his Wikipedia page. We're giving this one 4 Goodell heads because this happened. His wife admitted it. Carol admitted it. It's really, really weird because Cable, what she was doing is she was editing out the violence allegations against Tom Cable. Cable in the past has been accused of A, breaking the jaw of a Raiders assistant coach when he was the head coach. He'd been accused of domestic violence by an ex-wife and an ex-girlfriend. And the Wall Street Journal got a hold of Cable's wife and was like, hey, what's going on here? So again, we're giving this one 4 good heads because it's fact news. This happened. She admitted to it. She said that we weren't trying to hide anything, but we lived through the false allegations. There was no documentation to back it up. It was false. Now, the NFL never disciplined Cable for anything. It is worth mentioning that Cable stated through his legal team that he had once touched a woman inappropriately and had become very angry and slapped his ex-wife, Sandy, which would strike me as documentation to back it up, for starters. This is one of the weirdest things ever. And when Al Davis fired Tom Cable, he was super angry because he had even like, hey, is there any other stuff that's going on there? Because we just had the incident with you and your assistant coach. And Cable's like, nah, there's nothing. And then the whole ex-wife and domestic violence stuff came out. So This is just so weird.
What's even funny, like what even makes it get even worse is that his agent had to come out and say, I stand by my client Tom Cable and his wife in regard to these unfounded allegations. He was never charged, and therefore it doesn't seem to have merit to be on his Wikipedia page. He's been accused by 3 separate people of some sort of assault, and it doesn't have
it's weird.
It has no merit?
It's very weird.
What?
So that one is for Goodell heads because his wife was editing his Wikipedia page to try and hide
One
it.
more thing, let's bring this to real life for a second. Can you imagine physically doing that? Like as a human being, going into your husband's Wikipedia page to delete assault allegations by 3 separate people. You have to sit down at a computer, log into Wikipedia, and edit his page to get rid of that. That is shenanigans.
She also, by the way, did it with a username that was very clearly hers. It was like CCable53 or something.
God.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Let's get into some more rumors here. This one kind of more on the news side. Todd Haley. He is out as the Steelers' offensive coordinator.
Long time coming. I mean, him and Big Ben just never got along. And we actually talked about this in the office that, you know, what exactly did he bring that was special? He didn't really bring a lot to, like, not that he didn't bring a lot to the table, but when you have Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, and Le'Veon Bell, it's kind of difficult to mess up as an offensive coordinator. So, personally, I think it's the right move. It was time to move on. They're bringing their quarterbacks coach to be the offensive coordinator in a clear sign that they took Big Ben's side, but Todd Haley will find a landing spot for sure.
Harris, you think the Steelers made the right choice in dumping Todd Haley?
I'm giving this one heart. Absolutely. Not that he's a bad offensive coordinator, but look, you only have maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years left with Big Ben. And I'm sorry, Todd Haley is not a good enough offensive coordinator for me to want to risk angering and disappointing my franchise quarterback more than I already have with what's going on with him and Mike Tomlin. I think this is a good way to remind him that the franchise is behind him and he needs to stop calling out his head coach on radio shows.
Let's get to some more rumors then. This one, could Jarvis Landry leave the Dolphins?
Dumb.
This has been bubbling for a little bit because we're giving it to Goodell heads because it's kind of 50-50, but Jarvis Landry told Miami Herald that the negotiations have been handled a bit disrespectfully.
Yeah, they've treated him like crap. He's like, look, I'm breaking records for receptions. I know his yards have been low. He did have a great season this year in terms of touchdowns. His red zone efficiency was way up this year, which is great. But his total yards was low because that's just how they use him in the offense. But can you imagine this Dolphins offense without Jarvis Landry? Can you imagine if Devontae Parker is the go-to option on this football team? It's a disaster. I think he should leave. Go get your money. Go to Chicago's going to certainly pay you. So leave.
Landry has said he wants to stay with Miami, but he's also made it very clear that he wants to get paid. So the Dolphins made an offer to Landry's agent in early December. In mid-December, the agent countered with an offer. The Dolphins haven't responded yet. I think there's some notable difference here between the two sides. Jarvis Landry wants a Davante Adams-type contract.
He does want a Davante Adams-type contract. I think a money or a contract that is a little bit more kind of to what he might end up getting. If you go back and saw what Golden Tate got, he got a 5-year, $31 million contract with the Detroit Lions back in 2014. So if you 2017-ify that contract, it comes out to about 5 years, $40 million a year. That's about what it comes out to in this year's salary cap with the amount of inflation and what wide receivers are getting paid. So I don't think that's a terrible contract. I certainly wouldn't pay him that. But again, what are they going to do without him? Like, I'm sorry, Kenyon Drake is not a good enough player on offense that you don't need Jarvis Landry anymore. Devontae Parker has been a total bust as a first-round pick so far. They had to get rid of Julius Thomas because he got too fat. Like, this is the problem with the Dolphins. They have something good. They won't pay him. I think he should leave. Go get your money.
All right, one more rumor here for you. This one was actually just confirmed by the team about a minute ago. The Jets have fired OC John Morton after his first year. Harris, we don't know why.
Why?
We don't understand why, I should say.
I don't get it. He's turned an undrafted free agent, Robbie Anderson, into a borderline #1 NFL wide receiver. He actually turned a running game of Matt Forte, Elijah McGuire, and Bilal Powell into something half decent. And good God almighty, Josh McCown was a top 15 quarterback this year. I don't think you can really dispute that. He was fantastic. I can't believe that they're getting rid of this guy. He was rumored a couple weeks ago to have been hired by John Gruden to go to the Raiders. So I just don't really understand what the Jets' point is here. Are you really going to find an offensive coordinator on the market that's better than him? Do they want Todd Haley maybe? Maybe that is what they're reaching for. I'm not really sure what the point is here, but I think John Morton has a bright future in this league. I think he's going to get picked up by someone. He's going to do a great job.
All right. What some of the rationale here, allegedly wise, that he and head coach Todd Bowles didn't always get along, and that some of the players felt that it was trying to be too much like the Saints offense where he came from.
You know what? And I could see that. And, it's very difficult if he's going against Todd Bowles because the Jets players love Todd Bowles. So much so that Sheldon Richardson got traded from the Seahawks and wants to come back to the Jets because of Todd Bowles. So if that is true and they were actually kind of butting heads, then that makes sense. But at the same time, sometimes you need to prioritize the football team over head coach relationship. I mean, if the offense is working under him and you just need to give him more weapons, then do so. I mean, if the Steelers were able to get 6 years out of Todd Haley after him and Big Ben have been nipping at each other for however long, then they can deal with John Morton and Bowles not always getting along. I don't really agree with this, but this is so typical Jets, isn't it? This is I expect nothing less than the Jets have a good offensive season and fire their offensive coordinator. What a Jets thing to do.
I would not be surprised if Morton gets interest very quickly.
Oh,
he has
absolutely.
a background in a receivers coach as well. Worst case, he'll end up getting that job.